it's not easy because I have nights where it's 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. and I'm still working. And I'm thinking to myself, I haven't had dinner. It's kind of late for me to have dinner at this point, but also I need to eat something because it's not going to be good for me to go to bed hungry. And that could look like one night, 2 nights. And from there, it's like, I do have nights like that, but from the times when I'm able to put in that work and put in that effort, I will do so. There's no certainty to say every day it's going to look the same. And I think especially with entrepreneurs, and especially in Dubai, as you say, we have so many options. When I initially moved, I remember I spent like good 2 weeks just on Kareem, just ordering in.
So I am a fitness type person.
Yeah.
I don't think I necessarily am like, so much with like the sticking to a super clean diet. Mm-hmm. I try my best. I have my Laban and strawberries in the morning. I do those things. Sometimes I cut out bread and carbs just like periodically. But for someone who's older, right, and this is something that I never realized, is like once you hit 40, you better be hitting those weights because that muscle is gone. It is going to go fast. So like I'm in the gym like 3-4 times a week. Fitness to me looks very different. It's like, hey, we got to maintain this or else we're going to be in trouble. But I think that's another message because you have like different demographics. You have women that are younger who are going in and then like doing things that are not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And then people who are like, comparing themselves to others. I see a lot of that when I go in the gym. I don't know what your gym is like, but I think in Dubai particularly, it gets really competitive with women.
It is. I think it's, I've stepped into maybe 3-4 different gyms in Dubai, and every single time I've stepped in there, I'm like, okay, it feels like you do see how much it's not necessarily just about the workouts. It is, trying to maybe draw inspiration or, kind of a bit of competition there. You look at the other girl and she seems like, there's a bit of that. And I think there's a whole lot of that just in the gym community as a whole. But I think, I'm somebody that has shifted from, I used to largely encourage training, and training used to be very much about the aesthetic and building this and building that. But as you grow older, you mature and you get to learn that it's a lot more than that, and it has to be a lot more than that. You have to be in the gym for much more than just trying to build your glutes or trying to, because ultimately what you're doing in that time, which is 2 years, 3 years of your time, has a large impact on who you're going to become. Because fitness doesn't only affect that time that you spent in the gym, it affects every single thing that you do, your mental space, the energy that you have to do every other thing that you do. So, we carry these bodies with us at every breathing moment. So it has to be taken care of, and that's a non-negotiable. And if our minds are rooted in, the aesthetics that come with working out, we lose so much. And that's what keeps a lot of people getting into the gym, and you do it for 2 weeks and it's like, oh, it's not really working. I'm not seeing the results. And so this is probably not working. But it's like, you have to be in the gym for much more than that. And we don't want to get to the point where the knees start cracking and the back is no longer working the same. Then we realize that, I probably should have been training for a lot more than that. So I think this is why I use my social media platforms to educate a lot and to really drill that into the hearts of many women, that I think the aesthetics are okay to a certain extent, but what is most important is that you're taking care of that body. Because it's not just about what you're doing in that gym, what you're doing outside of it. So that fitness journey isn't just the 1-2 hours that you spend in the gym. If you're taking walks, how you're eating, what you're putting into your body, it has a whole lot to do with it. And I think, being able to shift the perspective and being able to understand what's really important and do that work. And also the quicker you start, the better. Because as you age, as you get older, I've been talking to my parents, I've been talking to my mom, and she'll tell you. So, and I have one of my aunts, and she runs marathons, and she's 50. She's just started running marathons just like maybe 5 years ago. And she's always been a sporty person, but that to me has also spoken to how necessary it is for that part of one's life to be something that you integrate into your everyday as quickly as possible, because it does not get any easier. And it's not going to be the kind of thing whereby, 10, 20 years into it, if I'm still being driven by, I want my body to look this way and to look that way, it can be a big challenge, because also the results in even seeing those things don't come in the first, or let's say they don't come in the first 6 months. It takes about a year, 2 years to see any real change. And so if I'm training for aesthetics, I'm likely not going to be able to be consistent with it because you're not seeing those kind of results unless you're doing some extreme diet and you're doing some extreme work, you're spending hours in the gym. So trying to make fitness a thing that is a part of your life and a lifestyle, and something that you're doing not just for today or not just for summer, not just for the wedding, but that's something that you're doing forever, because this body is with you for your life. We might as well start taking care of it before we start to complain about this, and that.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much working out impacts other things, like your ability to focus and like your self-confidence and your drive and your motivation and how you sleep. Like all of these other, and particularly for women too. Like women just, okay, not all women, but mostly I think that there's a huge mindset towards the aesthetics, like you were saying. And I think a lot of people who kind of push it to the edge are thinking aesthetics, but it's so much more than that. And I think particularly for entrepreneurs, right? You're trying to start a business and you're not taking care of your body. And if you're pushing long hours and not eating right, that will catch up to you.
Indeed.
For sure.
Yeah. Over time, it does become like I always say that you have to work hard for a lot more than the aesthetic reasons, but also don't allow your body to get to the point where you have no choice but to work out, where you have no choice but to eat healthy. Don't allow it to get to that point, because then it's no longer a want. It's no longer I can choose between this and that. It is I have to. Otherwise, my life depends on it. So it's like, which is why I say the quicker we enforce or the quicker we adopt those habits, it equips us for tomorrow. And that mindset shift has to happen, so that you are taking care of your body. As we say, that it is important for every single thing that you are to do. You know, the aesthetics when it comes to us ladies are huge. And I think because I've been a part of that industry and I've seen many trends come and go and things like that, and we're training for this now, we're training for that. And I think when you're able to step back as an entrepreneur, but also as a content creator, and take a look at things from the inside, you really see what is just a trend. You really see how, there's so many, we're taking fitness advice from, somebody that has always had that body, or we're taking fitness advice because I like somebody. But it's like, there's so many things that we're taking up, from supplements, from workout routines, that we are trying to take what has worked for somebody else and put it into your life to make work. But you don't have the same lives. We don't have the same day-to-day life. And what works for somebody else won't necessarily work for me. So I need to figure out what works for me and make that work and build from that. So that this is to help avoid that frustration that comes with over time seeming like, oh, I tried this fitness routine, it hasn't worked. Maybe the gym is not for me. It's not the gym that's not for you. It's because you tried what isn't for you and what was somebody else's. So let's find what is for you. And this is why I always encourage guidance and seeking professional guidance from people that are well educated in that space to equip you with those tools, so that you never ever need to take any advice, because the internet is a huge space and there's so many things being shared every single day, and we are exposed to so much information every single day. It can only do harm to be exposed to that much and try to take every single thing in and do this, and then there's this trend. So when do we get to the point where we find what works for us and we stick to that and build consistency for that? For somebody else, that can look like 3 days of working out. For somebody else, that can look like 4 or 5 days. But what works for me and what works for my everyday, my lifestyle, what I've got going on, what works for my mind, my body, because that is the thing that you're going to be able to be consistent with, and that is the thing that's going to breed results ultimately, over trying to do any and everything that we're receiving online. Or this is the thing to do. So I think when you are on the inside, it really gives you a different perspective of what's really happening, and it's easy to tell what is, oh, we're just doing this for the numbers, or we're just doing this for the views, and we're not really trying to care for the people on the other end of the screen, to want to educate, to want to give them the truth, which is what they really need, over a trend or, buy this and get that.
I think the caring part is huge. A lot of people create content and push things in order to get the monetary benefit. What I noticed about you is that you share a lot of who you are, and then also like your personal journey, even when it's not what you want to share, even when it's not cute or pretty, right? And I think that is super important because people need to see what's really going on and what's really happening. What I found just here in Dubai, just, being on social media, is that people are going through a lot. And they really do need help. They really do need to see that someone is there as well, struggling, but can get through something. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, at what moment did you realize, like, I'm going to be real. Like, I'm going to keep it real no matter what. I'm going to share what's happening to me and be authentic.
I think I could say from the very beginning. I think a lot of my, most of my community that was with me from that 2020 start on Instagram, I always led with vulnerability. I think also because I never understood why not, why wouldn't that be the thing? Because I think being able to be transparent about what's really going on paints a full picture, because, pretending like things are working well and you're always on fire for the gym and you're always on fire to do things is not the reality. And I think also because on my social media, I always lead with being myself. And that then it comes naturally to be vulnerable and to share the parts of me that you wouldn't typically see online, and somebody sharing that, oh, this is what I'm going through and all of that. Even from a place where I am a personal trainer, I am a certified personal trainer myself, I do have days when I don't want to go to the gym. I do have days when I don't want to eat well. And what does that look like and how do we work through that?
What does that look like, by the way? That's what I want to know. Yeah. What is your cheat meal? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I guess I wouldn't say I have a cheat meal, maybe back in the day, but I think because I've built a lifestyle around fitness, I don't, feel like, oh, I can't have the cookie. I will have the cookie.
Okay.
I will have the piece of cake. But it's more like understanding, like, I think in my head, because I know that this that I'm doing is not temporary. It's not for this season. It's not for a couple of months. It's not for summer. It's something that I'm doing for the rest of my life. So when it comes to, for example, how I eat, there's an understanding to say, if I had that piece of cake last night, the next morning can't start with, another takeaway. We've got to create some kind of balance. So what does that look like? And so I enjoy cooking, right? And so I'll make sure that I have, I have an excitement with getting my groceries and all of that. It doesn't always feel exciting. There's days when I'm like, I couldn't be bothered to stand in front of a stove. But on those days, I'm not going to be extreme about, the way that I eat. We're not having the full box of the pizza. I might have 3 slices, 4 slices, 5. Some days I might have the full box if it's really that, But I think creating, I don't like the word balance, but creating some kind of rhythm with the way that you eat, with the way that you train, with the way that you do every single thing, everything in moderation. And as long as we practice that, we're going to be okay. But if we're doing any extremes, such as, I feel like I've been eating junk food for the last 2 weeks or for the last month. So I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to fill up my entire fridge with green stuff. I'm going to have the celery juice in the morning, lemon water, and then for lunch I'm probably going to have maybe some chicken and then some broccoli, and then for dinner maybe some water and a handful of almonds. It's like, that's not going to work.
That is not long term. I'm telling you right now.
Because what that does is it ruins your relationship with food. It makes you think of food as, I need to do this extreme diet. And that's why with a lot of people and a lot of my clients, you're caught in this yo-yo effect of going from, I'm eating clean, I'm back to eating what I want, I'm eating clean, and you just kept in that, and and that has such a huge impact on also your mind, because you kind of are just kept in. It becomes very frustrating, and it ruins your relationship that you have with food. So it's like, how do we work out something that works for you and that also allows you to still enjoy food? I don't believe in that, oh, you cannot eat this, you cannot eat that. It's more so, let's understand how much of it I can have, and also let's also better, our palate to say, I need to eat the broccoli, I need to eat the spinach, I do need to have greens, I do need to have a balanced plate. And what does a balanced plate look like? And same kind of mentality when it comes to working out. So I think that those are the things that I think would benefit a lot of us when it comes to our fitness journeys, because the extreme dieting and the extreme creates this world that is, fitness becomes this thing that you most times feel like you hate it, because you think about, oh, I gotta go on that fitness journey again, I gotta cut out this and I gotta cut out that. And it's like, no, you don't have to cut out anything, but we have to learn. And the beautiful thing about it is, once you grasp that and you learn that, you can apply it to, you no longer go through those motions anymore, because you've understood. So when I take a look at my plate, I'm able to see that I'm missing some protein on this plate, or I'm missing some fiber on this plate, because that kind of eating, that balanced diet, is what we really need. It's not the juice and the this and all of these things that we need most. It's what does a balanced diet look like for me, and that's what ultimately benefits you and benefits everything that you do.
Yeah, so much in there. I mean, I think particularly in Dubai when everything is fast, right? Mm-hmm. Like you've got Kareem, you've got Taliban, you've got all of this sort of push to make your eating fast and convenient, particularly for people who work long hours. And I think what I'm hearing you say is, whoa, 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 slow down. Let's take a look at that plate and see what's really going on there.
And I think it's not easy, because I have nights where it's 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. and I'm still working. And I'm thinking to myself, I haven't had dinner. It's kind of late for me to have dinner at this point, but also I need to eat something because it's not going to be good for me to go to bed hungry. And that could look like one night, 2 nights. And from there, it's like, I do have nights like that, but from the times when I'm able to put in that work and put in that effort, I will do so. You know, there's no certainty to say every day is going to look the same. And I think especially with entrepreneurs, and especially in Dubai, as you say, we have so many options. When I initially moved, I remember I spent like good 2 weeks just on Kareem, just ordering in. And I was like, and I felt the guilt was eating me up, and I'm like, okay, I need to. But also because my body because eating healthy is my natural thing to do, that when I do go off of that, my body responds and I start to feel like I start to get headaches, simply because I've built somewhat of a balanced approach, that when I start to eat just lots of junk, my body responds in a way that, okay, we can understand we're doing something different and we need to go back to that balance. Let's start to pull the broccoli, let's start to pull some fruits in there. And so that in itself, like not every day looks the same, but it's what's most important is how do I, because I understand my lifestyle. If it is that I don't like to stand in the kitchen, I don't like to do the cooking, on Kareem, you have, the option to get your meal prep sent to you. That's something that I can do. So what works for me, because most importantly, finding that thing that works for you, as I say, benefits every single thing that you do. So the quicker we get to that point of finding what it is that works, the better your journey will be. And as I say, benefits every single thing that you do. Yeah.